Your first rental property finally cash flows, $1,800 a month. You run the numbers, you close the deal, you picture the passive income rolling in. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Then year 1 happens, and by month 12, that $1,800 a month has turned into exactly $0 in your bank account. Or worse, you're in the red. Here's what nobody on Instagram shows you. Most new landlords do not make money their first year. And there's one specific number, a capital reserve target, that separates the landlords who survive year 1 from the ones who bleed cash and quit. I'll get to that exact number in a few minutes, but first you need to understand why that $1,800 a month was a fantasy to begin with. So let's talk about the fantasy. You buy a property, your tenant pays rent, you subtract the mortgage, and you pocket the rest. That's the YouTube version of real estate investing. The reality is way messier. Let's say you clear $1,800 a month after your mortgage, taxes, and insurance. That's $21,600 a year. Sounds amazing. You're already planning what to do with that money. Maybe you're thinking about property number 2. But here's what actually eats that money alive. First, vacancy. Your tenant moves out in month 9. Not because you did anything wrong, their job transferred them. Now you've got a vacant property for 6 weeks while you clean, list, show, and screen new tenants. That's 1.5 months of lost rent, minus $2,700. Now you've got $18,900 left, still solid. But wait, second, repairs. In month 3, the water heater dies. That's a $1,100 replacement you didn't budget for. In month 6, the tenant calls about a leak under the kitchen sink. Plumber charges you $450 because it's a weekend emergency call. Month 10, the HVAC system starts making a noise that sounds like a dying robot. Diagnosis and repair, $1,800. That's $3,350 in repairs alone. You're down to $15,550, feeling less excited. Third, turnover costs. When that first tenant moves out, you discover the carpets are destroyed. Paint is scuffed everywhere. The yard is a disaster. You need to paint 3 rooms, replace flooring, and do a full deep clean before anyone new will even apply. That turnover prep costs you $3,800. Oh, and you're paying for that while the unit sits empty and generates 0 income. Now you're at $11,750. Still positive, still breathing. But here's the one that catches almost every new landlord off guard. Property tax reassessment. You bought the property, which means the county reassesses the value. Your taxes jump from what the previous owner was paying to what they think the place is worth now. That can add $200 to $400 a month to your holding costs retroactively. And yes, they send you a bill for the difference. Let's call it a $2,400 surprise. Now you're at $9,350. From $21,600 down to $9,350 in 1 year. And we haven't even talked about property management fees, HOA special assessments, or the legal fees if your tenant stops paying rent and you need to evict. One bad scenario and you're at 0 or below. This is exactly why you need a capital reserve before you close on your first deal. Not after, before. And here's the number I promised you earlier. For a typical single-family rental property in the $150,000 to $300,000 range, you need a minimum capital reserve of $5,000 to $8,000 sitting in a separate account on day 1. Not next month. Not after you get your first rent payment. Day 1. Here's why that specific number. $5,000 covers one major system failure. A water heater, a roof patch, an HVAC repair. $8,000 covers a major system failure plus a partial turnover. New paint, new flooring, cleaning. It's the difference between absorbing the hit and putting repairs on a credit card at 24% interest. Most new landlords walk into year 1 with 0 reserves. They figured the rent would cover everything. And when month 3 hits and the water heater dies, they're scrambling. That stress is what makes people sell early, take a loss, and tell everyone they know that real estate investing is a scam. The ones who make it through year 1 are the ones who planned for the worst before they sign the closing documents. And there's a specific way to build this reserve without feeling like you're setting fire to your savings. First, set aside 5% of projected gross rent every single month from day 1. On $1,800 a month, That's $90 a month into a dedicated account. It sounds small, but over 2 years, that's over $2,000 building quietly in the background. Second, deposit your entire security deposit into a separate account and never touch it. That's usually 1 month's rent, $1,800, acting as an additional buffer. Third, if you have a month with 0 repairs, take half of what you would have spent and dump it into the reserve. Good months aren't a reason to celebrate. They're a reason to stockpile. Your target is that $8,000 number. Once you hit it, you can ease up on contributions. But here's the thing. You'll rarely stay at $8,000 because stuff breaks. So you'll dip down to $5,000, build back up, dip down again. That's the rhythm. That's what being a landlord actually looks like. The people who succeed long-term aren't the ones who never have repairs. They're the ones who expected repairs and had the money waiting. Year 1 is a gauntlet. It is designed to filter out people who aren't prepared. Vacancies, surprise tax bills, emergency plumbing calls on a Sunday morning. That's the job. That's what you signed up for. But if you walk in with that $5,000 to $8,000 reserve and the discipline to keep rebuilding it, you'll be one of the ones still standing in year 2. And year 2 is where it actually starts getting good. The surprises slow down, the tenants stabilize, you learn the rhythm of your specific property, and suddenly that $1,800 a month actually starts showing up in your bank account. If this was helpful, there's more on the channel.